Welcome back to reality. I don't know why I started with my tongue hanging out. That was weird. Welcome back to reality. I was watching a documentary the other day. I have itches. My skin's a little bit dry, and so I have itches in places. We all have itches, okay? Everyone get over it. I was watching a documentary the other day, and it was about pirates and treasure and things, and they mentioned this pirate named Olivier Levasseur, and he sounds as cool as he is. He was a pirate on the ship. I feel like I read somewhere that he had a pirate ship called Revenge, which, hello, Princess Bride. But also, whoa, what is happening? But also, look at how appropriate it is with the way my bathroom's decorated. We're going to talk about ships and pirates and culture and pirates and treasure. So, I created this, obviously. If you're doing a pirate look, you have to do a black smoky eye. I think it's just like required. Did a black smoky eye, but it's got hints of gold in it. I did kind of a wine-stained lip. Not that they drank wine all the time, but he was French, so I had to go with red. And it's darker. If you're terrified of black eyeshadow, I'll walk you through it. I'll help you out. Plus, you get to learn about a French pirate, which, like, I don't know if there are two things I like better combined together than a French pirate. Like, to me, that kind of sounds like a dream documentary, but there have yet to be made one about this guy, so, like, get on that History Channel. Enough chit-chat. If you like what you see, please keep watching. Okay. Olivier Levasseur. First of all, he's French, so we know this is going to be a good story. Second of all, we're going to start with the eyes, because they're so intense and pigmented. We're just gonna do it first and avoid any it's okay if it falls down because it's supposed to be smoky, but just gonna take care of that from the get-go. Obviously, with a pirate look, I have to do a black smoky eye, black and brown smoky eye. I don't know if there's like anything else I could do in my opinion. Okay, so this dude was born at the very end of the 17th century. So in the 1600s, 1680s, 1690s, no one knows for sure, this dude shows up on the scene. I can't decide if I'm just going to go right in with black or if I'm going to build up with brown. This is terrifying. Let's start with a transition shade. How's about that? You can use any bronzer, but I'm basically using that kind of a color, like a tan taupe color. Okay, so Levasseur was born in Calais in France to a pretty wealthy family. So he isn't just like a rags to riches. He's just like a pirate because he can be. So we'll get to that, obvi. I'm not afraid to be heavy-handed with this because we can, one, blend it out later, but black is pretty intense, so it's not going to be hard to outdo ourselves with this. I'm actually going to go right in with a gel liner that needs to be sharpened. Well, that's a bummer. Oh, I have another one right here. Perfect. And I'm literally going to go right in, just like start scribbling. So this guy was born into a pretty wealthy family. He's very well educated. And after he got his education as a young man, he became a naval officer for France. And this was during some war. I should probably look that up. War of the Spanish Succession. Quite the look. It does not have to be tidy because we're going to blend it out with shadow in a minute, as well as we're going to blend this out, and then we're going to blend with shadow on top of it. So I'm actually going to stop just shy of my crease and start blending because I don't want it to set before I've gotten the chance to blend it out. So this dude became a big deal in the French army. And when the war ended, they were like, come back to France. And he was like, nah. And so he just became a pirate. A man of education and status, and he's just like, I don't think so. This is like way more fun. Also, this is not going well. Maybe we should go right in with black shadow. I'm going in with a matte black shadow, just like going at it. See, that liner really gives us a good base to work with. You can tell where the liner stops. Well, now I know what I would have done differently. Okay, a little bit more precise application with a different brush. So this dude's just like, okay, I think I'm gonna be a pirate now. And he makes some friends, so he's got some buddies that are in it with him, so he's not by himself. He got elected as captain of this, like, troop he was with, because I think they mutinied against the captain they had. Anyway, he became captain and was like, all right, I'm gonna do some serious damage. Because he was an educated man, he made a very good captain. He, like, knew how to handle people. He knew how to, like, I mean, just like simple things like read maps and chart weather and, like, all that stuff. So he wasn't dumb. He was a pretty sharp guy. Okay, this is pretty black and pretty smoky. We might come in later and play with the rest. But now that my top lids are done, I want to go ahead and do my face, my complexion. So I'm using Tarte Shape Tape Foundation. All right, where was I? I get the impression that his crew really liked him. Like, there was never a mutiny or, like, an attempted impeachment, but it seems as if his crew really enjoyed and respected him. And that's probably because he was, like, one of them at one point. He didn't just, like, buy a title or something. Well, he inherited a title, but that's separate from the actual, like, piracy respect part. So at this point in his career, becomes a captain, has a lot of the respect of his crew, and he starts to raid ships. Now, he hangs out primarily in, like, the Indian Ocean, which is probably where a lot of that happened. I'll blend it out. I'm going to brush through the brows right away because it always freaks me out when I get a bunch of makeup in them. So after he got elected captain, by that point, he had, like, really done a lot of hard work to earn the respect of his crew, all this stuff. And he actually was starting to go blind in one eye, so he wore an eye patch, which is like stereotypical pirate, which I think they wore eye patches because when they went below decks, then it was easier for their eyes to transition from, like, sunlight to no light. But he actually, like, needed to because he was starting to go blind. And in regards to the makeup, we'll try to do something fun with that. I actually don't know which eye he was blind in, so we might have to figure that out together, but I'm not worried. So from about 1720, he started launching his raids from the base of an island called Sainte-Marie, and it's right off of Madagascar. That's how I got into learning about this guy in the first place, was because I was watching a documentary about, let's finish the eyes before we do anything else. I was watching a documentary about something, pirate, treasure, deep sea diving, something like that. And they mentioned this guy, and I was like, hello, French pirate, yes please, I want to learn about him. That's how I kind of got started learning about this dude. So I'm just taking that same taupe shade we used in the transition and putting it under my eyes. And then as I build this up, I will move on to the black and just really smoke that out. He started to get his name, his nickname, Buse, because in French it means the buzzard or the vulture. And so he would just, his ship would just, like, sneak up on his, like, enemy ships and just, like, show up and take over out of nowhere. And so people started calling him the Buzzard because he would just show up out of the fog like, hi, we're here. Also, we're going to take all your loot. I need to clean up these corners because there's some confusion about where everyone's supposed to go. So let's just I'm not afraid of this being sloppy, so we're just gonna enjoy that part of this. I think the idea behind like why this is like a stereotypical pirate look is because the idea, I think, is like in the 1700s, if you were from like higher class or even lower class, you probably wore makeup to cover your syphilis. And I think the idea is that you like started your pirate career with a bunch of makeup on, and then it just like is like basically like eyeliner that you never took off is I think what it's supposed to look like. Right now it just looks like I'm a raccoon. Oh, I never put concealer on. Uh-oh. Now's the time to fix that situation. Oh no. I'm gonna do it light because I already did my under eyes, so that's a huge bummer. Oh, I'm ashamed. We can always go back with shadow though, so that's a plus. So yeah, I think the idea is that like people had makeup on from their like previous lives or something like that. Like Pirates of the Caribbean, like Jack Sparrow. It was fashionable at that time in history to wear makeup for any class. Okay, and then I'm gonna powder a little bit because I also forgot to do that. Whoops. Okay, so I just powdered a little. I feel like the outside of this is like blue. I don't love that. It's kind of flying everywhere. Do you see that? Do you see it's kind of like, well, whatever. We can just choose not to let it bother us. By this time, I believe pirates were outlawed in most of Europe. And so he kind of had to just like stay away and like hang out in the Caribbean. Because if he didn't, he was gonna get hanged. So that's part of, I know that's in Pirates of the Caribbean, they talk about that. But that's also just like part of history. I'm just taking that brown and kind of like softening the edge and just giving it some more depth. My eyes are different shapes, and I never notice it as much as when I do heavy eyeshadow. Okay, let's move on to the face. I didn't put powder everywhere so that if I wanted to contour, I could. I think I do want to do a little bit of contouring. Just the tiniest bit, starting back by the ear. Just applying the contour, and then I'll blend it with my beauty blender, or my Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge. Excuse me. So by this point, he was like renowned. Like people knew who this guy was, and they knew that he wasn't really to be messed with. I'm gonna go a little stronger on this contour, kind of just blend it into mud. And so one of his greatest exploits that people still talk about is the robbery, the attack, I don't quite know what to say, the commandeering of, let me see if I can get this right, Nossa Senhora de Cabo, Our Lady of the Cape, or like our Virgin of the Cape. And this was a Portuguese ship, and it had like a ton of loot on it. And so that's probably his biggest, biggest exploit. Okay, now I'm gonna go pretty heavy on the bronzer because we want to look like we spend all our time in the sunshine, and we'll have fun with highlighter as well. So this ship has a connection to Goa in India, which this documentary I was watching, apparently it's a big deal, that there's a connection there. On the jawline, I'll do a little bit on the nose too so we have some definition there. So let's get a brushy brush. What brush shall we use? Let's use this one. And this isn't like a strong contour, we just want it to exist. Using bronzer as opposed to like a cream contour. You guys see that? I have this really big, the bridge of my nose has a big bone in it. I guess everybody's does, but I feel like mine sticks out when I contour my nose. And I'm actually going to bring that up into my eye because it kind of just already does that, and so I'm just gonna do it intentionally so I'm not annoyed by it. That makes sense, Amy, right? So, Buse is known to have, or fabled, I guess I should say that, fabled to have one of the biggest treasures of like all pirates, like ever. Also, I want to do a little pop of gold in the middle of this eye look, like teeniest little dash, because treasure. And the biggest thing in this pile of treasure, apparently, I can't decide if I want to do like yellow or like a muted. Let's do like a muted gold so that it's just there a little bit. Just right on the center of the lid, just a little. So when you turn your face, there's just a little glimmer. Mostly near the lash line, I think, is kind of what I'm going for. And really, it's okay if it's subtle. You see how subtle that is? I don't want like the halo effect. I just want a little pop of shimmer gold in the middle there. I think that's really fun. Okay, I'm gonna start layering my highlights, and I'm using like golds and champagnes. So this first one I have is Wisp by ColourPop. And I'm not gonna be like shy about my highlighter because treasure. But I am gonna layer, so I'm not gonna go too heavy with one. I'm gonna just build it up. So there's that one. And then I'm gonna use Mary Luminizer from the Balm. Okay, what am I saying? Oh, in this treasure, which I'll talk more about as we continue on, was apparently like a lot of important stuff. And one of the most important ones is called the Flaming Cross, and apparently was like gold and like encrusted with jewels, and took like at least 3 men to carry it. I'm gonna use the Mary Luminizer to highlight under my brow bone. I like this highlighter a lot, actually. I should reach for it more often. So that is one of the most like famous things from that particular raid. And no one found that ship. So that ship was supposed to, I think, sail into Portugal from Madagascar, and it never showed up. And there's no like record of where it went, or like if it stopped somewhere else or anything like that. That's kind of a fun aspect of that story. Flaming Cross, lots of treasure, blah blah blah. He goes to like make this contract with the French government, but in the contract they wanted a lot of the loot back, and he was like, no thanks, negotiations off. And because he's like, my treasure, mine. But eventually he was captured by the French government, and he was hanged for piracy on July 7th, 1730. And the most interesting part of the story, I think, in this like whole situation, I am going to take a little bit more of this wispy wisp and put it on the center. I always go overboard, but just give it a little extra pop and blend it. Nice, that's great. Okay, that's good. Amy, no more. So when he shows up, or when he gets captured, he doesn't have any of the treasure with him. None. They still capture him, and he still gets charged with being an outlaw. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to line my waterline. I don't think I really need a tight line, but I want to line this waterline. So he still gets hanged for piracy, but they're like, where's your treasure? And he's like, exactly, it's my treasure, so like step off. Doesn't tell them, but legend has it, when he's on the scaffold, he's wearing this necklace, and he takes it off, chucks it into the crowd, and says, that's the map to my treasure. It's for him who understands it. And it's this completely indecipherable, people can't figure it out, map of, I don't want to say hieroglyphs because they're not Egyptian, but cryptogram. It's this totally encoded like 17-line letter document that like still to this day no one can translate. No one has any idea what like alphabet he used, what pattern he used, like language he used. People have no idea. And I think that's really fun. So people still to this day have no idea where his treasure is, no idea even what the map is like supposed to mean. No thoughts about, oh, I didn't contour my forehead at all. That's a weird thing to have happen. So people are just like at a complete loss of what he did with his treasure. There's all sorts of speculation about he retired somewhere secret and that's where his treasure is. It's off the coast of Madagascar where he like did all his raids. It could be like distributed amongst his crew members, like it could be anywhere, but what we know is that like we know nothing. That's essentially what we know. I need more highlighter. I'm bronzed, I'm glowing, I'm grungy. It's great. So people have like doing research, people have had top, I'm gonna go back in with the black and like strengthen this because it is not what I want it to be. Like top solvers of puzzles throughout the world try and decode this letter and like no one can figure it out. Obviously he was like a super educated man. He wasn't dumb. He knew what he was doing. And so I just think that's really fun that like there's a real life treasure hunt happening like for the last like 400 years, 300 years. I can't do math. 300 years. I'm gonna try to clean up this side because this side's a little droopy. This one's got like a nice shape to it. But the only thing they know for sure was on the ship was the flaming cross. So they can't even really like prove like I found his treasure unless they find the flaming cross. So like, whoops. Okay, I'm gonna do some mascara. It's pretty cool because his pirate flag was a black skeleton on a white flag, and he's one of the only people in all of like pirate history who had a white flag with black detail. It was usually the Jolly Roger was the other way around, like a black flag with white design, like with white detail. So that's kind of cool. I think that he had a unique flag. I was thinking it's so funny that he was like a French aristocrat and he had probably like everything that his society thought was like worth fighting for, and they were like, come back so we can like award you and make you rich. He was like, nah, I'm gonna be a pirate. I think that's so funny. Now if you've known me for a long time in my life, like since before I started my YouTube channel, you know I love pirates. I think they're so like, it's definitely romanticized nowadays, but I just think the whole thing is like so fascinating, and there are lots of different types of pirates and they all fought for different things and they all got scurvy. It was awesome. Okay, so for lips I have, oh, we forgot to do something special with the eyes. I was gonna do like a little teardroppy thing, but I feel like that's pretty basic to do. I wouldn't be mad about that. Let's try it. I'm gonna take the, gonna go right in with the black because I don't mess around. I'm gonna go in with a teeny tiny brush though. It's hard because like I was looking up some inspiration for like female pirate stuff and it's all like kind of gypsy-esque. Like it's all like gypsy inspired. And I'm like, that's not what I'm going for. Obviously this makes the look a little less wearable, other than just like a black smoky eye, but it's my artistic interpretation. You guys seem to like these videos anyway, so I think that might be it for his story. As far as we know, he didn't have any descendants, he didn't have any relatives that like stuck around. For the lip, I'm gonna go dark red, and just gonna kind of pat it on with my finger. I'm not even gonna like directly apply it. kind of like wine-stained lips. They drink a ton of rum anyway, so it's not inaccurate. This is also very trendy right now. Wine-stained lips is what people are calling it, as opposed to popsicle lip, which is also popular a couple years ago, but more appropriate for the summer. There was something else I wanted to say, but I don't remember what it was. It's a little bit pink, doesn't it? Maybe we should try something a little darker. Smoky eye. Dramatized. This French pirate sounds awesome, and I wish there weren't any like documentaries or movies or anything made about him, so I kind of had to piece together various information from various sources. I don't know how I feel about this. I'm kind of mad I did it. I could take it off. I might. This makes it look like a clown, and that is super not what I'm going for. Maybe I can find a clever, tactful way to remove it. It's like annoying me so much. I need to fix this. This is an educational moment. I'm taking a baby wipe. A teachable moment. Such a mom. I'm just gonna start removing. This black went down further than the other eye, so I have to kind of be tactful. Okay. Not bad. All right, and then we have to build back up what was there so it looks cooler. Little bit of concealer and foundation combo. If I was wearing this out, I never would have done that part, just because it makes it less wearable, and that is a little weird to me. Like, I just wanted to create, like, that's the point of these Haute history looks, is they're inspired by history, but, like, if you were feeling bold, you could wear it. So, I normally I'm just like, meh, whatever, but it bothered me that much. And now you guys know what happens when something bothers me a lot. I just start over. I'm just kidding. And just kind of fill in those gaps where I removed. Kind of clean that up, especially with a smoky eye. You can get away with so much. I have tons of eyeliner under my eyeballs tomorrow. Good. As it should be. So it doesn't like remove it completely, but it helps the shape of the eye not droop. And with hooded eyes like I have, you have to be aware of that. Okay. So much better. Okay, now I'm just nitpicking. You guys get the idea. You know what's happening. I'm a pirate. Doesn't even matter. Still kind of see the remnants, but I'm gonna choose not to worry about it. It's fun. If you're going for a sultry look on Valentine's Day. I actually don't know if this video is going up before Valentine's Day. So, for a date night, I guess. Anyway, whatever. Thanks for joining me. I hope this gave you courage to wear black eyeshadow. Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and gold, black and gold. Nailed it. Keep it real.